Hello, happy Wednesday. We are here for day 3 of Nervous System Triage Week, and today we're talking about movement. So I will wait a moment or two for people to pop on. Dina, right on time, present and accounted for. And then we will get started. So I'll wait a few minutes. If you are popping on, please say hello and let me know where you are watching from. And if you are catching the replay, please say #replay and do the same and say where you're coming from. Today we're going to be talking about movement and an interesting exercise, I don't know, that you can do that animals actually do. And so we will get to that in a minute. So I can probably start now. And let me just introduce myself really fast. My name is Alyssa. I am the owner, operator of Bliss MS. I am a holistic nutritionist and health coach, and I help my clients with MS rewire their brain and body for healing. So obviously today we're talking about movement. And so obviously movement is like good for us, right? Like research is showing that like literally anything like is good and is going to bring you like results and will just be really helpful for you in the long run. So like that could be like running, yoga, tai chi, like anything that anything is good as long as it works for you. So that's kind of the key here, is as long as it works for you. Like you don't want to be like no pain, no gain mentality and like have something not be that helpful. So obviously exercise is good. It is a stressor. So there are some people who are probably like, well, isn't exercise a stressor? Like, yes, it is. It can increase some of your stress hormones a little bit, but what it also does is increases in other chemicals called endorphins. And so those are like the feel-good chemicals. Like you've heard of like runner's high and stuff. Like, you know, like I was a runner for a long time and like I actually never really got that. So maybe I was doing it wrong or it wasn't right for me, but and that's kind of the alternate here is like, yes, it bumps up your stress response a little bit, but it will increase your endorphins and like all those feel-good neurotransmitters and all that kind of stuff even more so. And so like yes, it is a short-term stressor, but doing it consistently will help you to kind of negate the effects of stress and help your body to react to stress positively, or not positively, but like more optimally and more in a way that's going to be less detrimental to your body. And also it's kind of like meditation in motion too. So like when you're working out and you're exercising, like even if you're not like working out, maybe like going for a walk or something, like it's harder to think about like your to-do list, right? Like if your heart rate's up and you're like moving, like that's all you're thinking about is your exercise or what you're doing, not like all this other stuff. And like those spirals. And like that's one of the main things that I like exercise for is that when I'm like working out or lifting or like running, anything like that, that's all I'm thinking about. And like not the majillion to-dos or anything like that. And so obviously it improves your mood too. So those endorphins, those chemicals, will help you improve your mood. I don't know what's happening with my voice today. I haven't even been talking yet and my voice is already gone. So all those endorphins that I just talked about earlier, like, yeah, the stress chemicals, but the endorphins are also going to help you improve your mood. So it's going to be a short-term thing, like the runner's high, like I said, but then also a long-term thing as well. Like as you are more consistent, you will get these benefits too. So what is the connection here with animals and stress management and exercise? Well, have you ever watched an animal, like watched a cat? Well, maybe cats don't do this too much, but like dogs for sure, or other kind of animals, after they are in a like stressful event or like their adrenaline pumps or something like that, like they're like, wah, they will shake. So I think there's a book called like Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, which is all about this, like how animals instinctually move emotions, trauma, stress hormones like through their body by shaking. Hello, wave to you. So that's kind of the thing that I want to talk about today is the shake. And so humans, we are the only ones who don't really do this instinctually. And actually we're kind of taught to do the exact opposite, right? So like growing up, What did you hear a lot? Maybe it was like, oh, don't worry about that. Don't feel that way. Don't cry about this. Like, just like, especially if you're crying, it's like, stop crying, like all this kind of stuff. Essentially, stop expressing your emotion. You know, like, stop kind of working through this. Stop moving the trauma and stuff, everything through your body. Granted, like, our parents, like, that's not what they were thinking, like, when they were saying that, you know, like, stop caring. Hello, Stats Lady. But, like, that's the message that comes through, like, by kind of quelling that voice, like stopping the crying, stopping all of that, like, we're essentially stopping the processing that's kind of naturally going on in our bodies. So, like, that's part of this too, is kind of reconnecting with your ability to, like, handle those emotions and, like, sit with those emotions and not, like, repress them or, like, push them in a corner. So more and more research is showing also that trauma and, like, especially, like, kind of major events that happen is really stored in our bodies. Like, we can, like, talk therapy ourselves, like, through some stuff, but not really trauma. Because, yeah, we can, like, we can know certain things about it, or we can, like, be like, I know that I shouldn't react this way. I know that this is an overreaction, but it's your body that takes over. And that, like, it's not really your mind there. So if trauma and stress is stored in the body, we need a body method, a body exercise to move through that trauma and move through that stress that's happening. Because, like, you can't talk your way out of, like, or fix yourself out of a broken leg, right? Like, we go to the leg, like, we go to the body where there's an injury. We have to kind of think of that same kind of thing in trauma too. And so my experience here a little bit, actually, I've realized this over the past probably 6 months to a year, that, hello, Heather, that when I'm talking or, like, kind of experiencing, like, mostly talking about, like, a stressful event or something like that, like, I will start to shake in my body too. And I've realized that that's just emotion that's coming up. And so I've actually continued to shake and, like, done it on purpose, and it's made it go away. So it's really kind of interesting how I've noticed this in myself as well over the past, like, year or so. I almost just lost my computer. So how this kind of, like, works in action. So, like, this would be something to do, like, if you are kind of same thing as yesterday, kind of with the grounding. If you're noticing that you are not quite experiencing, like, the world around you, or if, like, you're experiencing so much of the world around you, that's kind of the alternate here. That, like, you just have this, like, tension, and you have, like, just so much, like, emotion and feeling in you that you need to, like, kind of get it out. And so I would literally shake. So, like, for me, this comes up as, like, I can feel almost my chest vibrating and kind of my arms vibrating too. So I just kind of kept it going and just shook out my arms. When I was talking a little bit ago about my experience with this, hello, Jess. And then talking about, like, stressful experiences in the past or, like, anything like that, like, I will start to shake. And so I just kind of continue that and go like this. So this is something to kind of think about. How does your body manage, like, really intense emotion? Like, how does your body deal with that? Like, do you kind of notice that vibrating feeling that you have, like, that I had here? Like, do you notice, like, kind of, like, some tension? Things like that, or do you kind of just jump right to, like, nothing? Hello, wave to you. Because both of those are different, like, kind of stress responses. You've heard fight, flight, freeze, and we'll be talking much more about that tomorrow in our Vegas nerve video. But, like, that can be something to think about, is, like, when you're experiencing those, like, really intense emotions, when you're triggered, when you're in an argument with your, like, a friend or a spouse or whatever, or you're maybe, like, you're in traffic and all of a sudden, like, you had to come to a really sudden stop, and, like, you know, like, your stomach goes up in your throat and you're like, oh my god, I was gonna die, but you didn't. How do you, like, where do you feel that? Do you feel that kind of tension? And if so, like, continue it for a little bit. Like, it might not be safe to do this while you're driving, obviously, but, like, if you can, like, in the moment, try to see what happens. Like, see if you can shake, see what happens, like, when you do that, and, like, if that kind of calms your system a little bit. So yeah, so unfortunately, we're the only people that don't do that. The only animal. It's actually interesting, when I was reading about this, animals can actually die if they don't shake. like this, something can happen and like don't get the emotion out, and that can cause them to die. But for us, like we obviously don't get the emotion out. It doesn't quite kill us, but it kind of does, because when we don't get that emotion out, autoimmune disease can form, chronic illness, like all sorts of stuff. Like it just kind of creates a breeding ground for dis-ease, essentially, like your body just kind of not being in a state of ease. You know, like when you really kind of break down that word disease, it's your body being at dis-ease. So yeah, so I know trauma seems to be a lot of in our conversation lately, but I think that's why we're here too in like our nervous system triage week, because we have been in a year and a half, almost 2 years of kind of constant trauma. So we all need to kind of be thinking about these things and kind of seeing how these are at play in our lives. So yeah. So tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be talking about the vagus nerve. I know I've talked a lot about that in the past, I don't know, 6 months to a year-ish. But we are going to be going a little bit deeper into other things you can do and things that I have not even talked about on here yet. So it'll be a lot of fun. So don't miss out, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, if any questions, comments about movement, shaking, is that like a totally new concept? Anything like that? I don't know what happened to my voice today. It was just not cooperating. I'll wait for a minute for questions, if there are any, or comments, and if not, I will see you tomorrow. I wish there was like a little countdown or something, because like I feel like I'm waiting a minute, but I know it's like 10 seconds. But it takes a little bit of time for typing in the comment for it to show up. And that's happened to me before, so I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay, well, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.